Hi everyone, welcome to episode 150 of SAMR, a program which invites an expert each week to discuss a topic from their area of expertise. This week we are delighted to have Dr. Eric Oquinarena as our guest expert to tell us about quantum medicine, the history and the science. Eric is an MD, Ph.D, DDS, and has over 26 years of experience in the field of dental and holistic medicine, with multiple formations in nutrition, phyto-aromatherapy, bioresonance, and dental alloys toxicology. He is also a specialist and internationally recognized practitioner in the field of quantum medicine, with over 25 years experience in that field. Eric is one of the few doctors to be an internationally recognized expert in quantum medicine at university level, and is the founder of the concept of quantum aesthetics. He is often invited for lectures and webinars, as well as radio and TV programs in Russia, Kazakhstan, where a book was published on his work. It's late afternoon, I'm just a little bit tired, I'm sorry. Eric is a senior manager in public relations for the European Institute of Personalized Medicine and lecturer and international delegate for the World Organization of Anti-Aging Medicine. Currently, he is the director and owner of his own clinical practice, dental clinic and quantic therapy center located in Nice, in France. I've been to Nice, it's a beautiful place. Eric, welcome to SAMR. It's fantastic to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you, John, for the invitation and the opportunity to share some information.
So tell us about your background.
I began as a dentist surgeon, and I was one of the first in France to be conscious of the danger of mercury fillings and the metallic crown reconstitutions. I practiced since the beginning in a holistic point of view from dentistry, and I learned that what happened in the mouth can be have a very deep impact on all the body and even the mind. So I began to learn occlusodontics, posturology, osteopathy, and lots of other disciplines like that when I was contacted by a psychiatrist in Marseille. I live there now at this moment, and it was a very strange guy who used curious machines to measure acupuncture points on the points of the fingers and feet, and make lots of regulations with strange waves. He explained me roughly, but at the beginning I was totally dubious about this system.
Right.
But I'm so curious that I want to know more. And I began to work with him in his office, and I've just seen the result, and I decided to go through and to buy my first machine. And this was more than 25 years before.
Wow, and what machines were around then?
Oh, the first one was a Mora system.
Yes.
Derivated from Dr. VOLL's machine. I will talk a little bit about it. So I will talk about some machines, but it's historical because now I use it sparely because we have much better now. Mm. More simple, more evolutive.
Right. Can you go through the mechanics of quantum medicine? How quantum medicine is effective in treating problems?
It's really effective, but and all the history of quantum medicine is really interesting because it starts. I will explain in details, but it starts more than 4,000 years before, and maybe before, and the discoveries of the beginning of 20th century till now are really interesting because it's a mix between quantum physics, were discovered by Heisenberg, Einstein, and lots of other scientists I will talk a little bit about. And what is interesting in international scientific publication, let's say 15, 10 years before, we have very, very few articles on the subject. But now, quantum biology and quantum medicine are making a breakthrough in international scientific reviews, and lots of scientists and doctors all around the world are beginning to be really interested in this subject, because they can see the results and they can see that it's possible to treat people without medication or with less medication more quickly, more efficiently, and with very, very few side effects.
Absolutely.
So that's really, the evolution is really interesting now.
The so can you just give a describe to us, please, how quantum machines work?
How they work?
Yes.
Oh, there is a lot of different kind of quantum medicine, but to be simple, the strategy in quantum medicine is first to measure and analyze the data. So, but it's not only at the physical or biological point of view. Quantum medicine, it's a holistic and integrative way to practice medicine that mix the analysis and treatments of the physical system, your bone, your nerves, and your muscles, the biological systems, all the systems, digestive, neurologic, hormonal, etc. It touches the psychological level, it touches the emotional level, the energetic level, and much more. It can touch up to the transgenerational transmissions of traumatism. I've made a study that was published, I will talk to you more deeply later, in Science Today, a Russian magazine, where can you check these traumatism from our family, from our ancestors up to 10 generations. And they could be traumatism from deep illnesses or from deep psycho-emotional traumatism that are written in our body, and they can be triggered quite every day. That's really interesting to check. And the second way, after checking after the diagnosis, let's say diagnosis, it's to treat the perturbations at the energetic level, at the informational level, at the level of the organ, of the cell, of the component of the cell, till the structure of DNA. It's possible to trigger stem cells. It's possible to change the electromagnetical signals that are recorded deeply in our DNA, and especially mitochondrial DNA. And most important, we can predict and prevent.
You know, it's funny you should mention, well, it's apt that you should mention DNA, because most people don't realize people are locked into EMF. They're locked into regular waves, you know, Hertzian waves. But DNA communicates through scalar waves, which have got a greater reach. They can communicate across the body unimpeded by the obstructions that are between them. And so quantum medicine is talking the same language as DNA, as the very building blocks of our body.
Exactly. I've seen, my wife, to tell everything, is Professor Elena Baranova. She's one of the most talented and recognized specialists in genetics and genomics.
Yes.
She was the first prize of research in Canada 20 years before for their research on the stimulation of detoxification through genomics, and now she's a specialist in epigenetics, and we work together on quantum genomics, the next level, and we are in relations with a lot of other doctors. I'm not a researcher deeply, I'm a clinician, so I just treat people. And I try to think a little bit and to have some conclusion, but I have not a big lab of research. I'm not financing by nobody except myself. But what it's interesting that the view of genomics have evaluated from giving supplements or substances that can accelerate or slow down the activation of genes, from the stimulation and really precisely of the genes by using specific electromagnetic or longitudinal scalar waves frequencies. And that's really interesting that the field of waves that can be used is really huge. You can use sounds, you can use electricity, you can use magnetic fields, you can use scalar waves, you can use light, photons, lots and lots of different stimulations, and bioresonance. Quantum medicine now is not just using one specific frequency to treat one specific illness. It's something really wide that uses all the range of electromagnetic waves and other kinds of waves. It's just the beginning. I think we'll make some tremendous discovery in the near future. I hope so.
Me too. I love discoveries. You'd have seen a lot of discoveries in your 25 years of participation in quantum medicine, and you passed the comment that it's become more simple in a way. Is it the machines themselves have become easier to use from the very first machine?
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry?
I can tell you. For the first machine I used, it was more a system I will talk a little bit about. For making full diagnosis and treatment, it took roughly 5 hours. If we want to do everything in days, at least 5 hours. If you want to go really seriously. Now, in 1 hour, you can check all the body.
Right. And that with the type of machine that does checking in 1 hour, are these the non-linear systems devices, like having headphones on to measure the waves from the brain? They're remarkable, aren't they?
Yes, this is the Metatron Oberon and derivated from Professor Nesterov. I use it on a regular basis. It's an amazing instrument, but it only used bioresonance and some informational, but it doesn't use plasma, it doesn't use scalar waves, it doesn't use lights, it doesn't use sounds. So it's really, really efficient, but it's only one part of the treatment. Personally, I use up to 10 different devices, and I will have the 11th one in a few days, I think. With no, I'm really interested because the intelligence of your system, after what I have understood, that it's combinations of lots of different kinds of stimulations. Because you use lots of different probes, magnetic probe, laser, plasma, scalar waves, electrics, and so I don't want to detail every one. And each of these could be important for a particular part of the treatment.
That's right.
Now in quantum medicine, to be serious, you cannot use only one machine, only one system, only one approach to have a good result. We have to use everything because each patient is different, and for each patient, the evolution in time when they follow the regularly quantum medicine treatments, they are evaluating not only on the health level, but even at spiritual level. So I have noticed that by beginning by treating some chronic fatigue and the VOLL, the disturbances like right everybody have now, slowly but slowly the measure improves, and we parvene at a moment when the biological, the biophysical parameters are okay, and at this moment we can become to start to improvement, to optimization, to evolution at all the level. And all the levels are not separated. That's very important to understand that we talk about layers, physical, biological, psychological, emotional, spiritual, etc. But it's all is the same because the interconnection between all these layers is constant. It's at each moment, each seconds, you have the connection between everything, and everything influences all the other spheres. And in a correlations too with our surroundings. It could be your house, your garden, your city, your country, or the universe. We are influenced by all these things, and all these things have an impact really, really deep on our health, well-being, and mental health.
Right. On the spiritual side, it's interesting to me that you mentioned that. My personal experience is that some people haven't healed the way that other people have healed, and the only difference is really the spiritual side. They're trying to become better, but it's like they're not open to the healing. They're not open to things they may not understand, but forces around them which want to help them heal. I'm wondering how quantum medicine can help if the people themselves have got this roadblock. They've got a brick wall which is preventing the healing process from taking place. I see it many times where people may get very sick or die because it's nothing to do with the treatment, or even if it's the drugs, it's nothing to do with the drugs. The only difference I can see is spiritual. It's their beliefs and who they're wanting to allow into their lives to help their healing process. And for people, some people, whatever you throw at them, you can't get them better. There seems to be this blockage there. What are your views on that?
My opinion is that we are just at the beginning of quantum medicine, and to be serious, we want to develop this new specialty, we have to be very cautious with what we talk about. So, for the moment, we have to be conscious that quantum medicine is not alternative medicine, but complementary medicine. It has to be integrated in global treatments. Now, for the moment, even if I know that we can treat people even with really serious problems only with quantum medicine, it's not serious to tell people, I will treat everything with that. So I was instructor in two naturopathic schools in France, and I stopped after 2 years because I heard such stupid things. I heard people saying, cancer is only psychosomatic things, we can treat with back flowers. I said, oh, okay, fine, but that's not true. Honestly, that's not true. As a doctor, as a specialist, as a somebody who talks to a lot of other specialists, now we have to consider our specialty as a complementary medicine that come in complement with all other types of therapies and even allopathic medicine. It's not serious to tell somebody who have a cancer, who have something really serious, heart problems, to stop your treatment and I will treat you only with frequencies. Right. It's not serious now. It will be in the future, I'm sure of that. But now, strategically and I say politically, it's really important to make understand other doctors, other specialists who are very reluctant to understand what it is because they are formatted by their education, and we know that education of doctors it's 90% paid by pharmacologic labs. So if we want to make them understand that it's important to tell them, we can help you, you can keep your specialty, you are really good, you are really the best, but we can help a little bit with frequencies, with quantum medicine approach. Oh, your patients will cure better, faster, without and with very less side effect. And the few that try now are seduced by the approach because they can see the results. You know.
That's right. Well, if there's nothing to be lost, and there's possibly a lot to be gained, with complementary medicine, and I like that term, I might steal it from you, then why not? It's a no-brainer, isn't it? People should keep their minds open. Let's say you're doing a course of chemotherapy. Does that mean you don't eat healthy foods? No, you eat more healthy foods to try and sustain your body. And more than that, you can do other things to also sustain your body, which is what we're talking about now with your quantum medicine, the complementary. Now, there's some, sorry?
You know, the main thing I want to make you all understand that using the term quantum therapy instead of quantum medicine, not for ourselves, but for other people, for the public, okay, for other doctors, for the universities, for the medical boards of everywhere. We have to be cautious. Don't use for the moment. You have to be a little bit smart. Not using quantum medicine, even if it is a real one, but quantum therapy, so they are not shocked in their ego. Talk about complementary medicine, so not alternative, because alternative, I can replace you, I can take your place, I can take your patients and your job and your money. But complementary, oh, I will help you and you will benefit from my knowledge, from my help. It will be good for your ego, for your clinic. So it's just something, you know, you cannot take a fortress if you are alone by hitting the wall with your sword. We have to go inside smartly and be friends with the boss with the king. So with that we can progress. We can, and the main goal is to develop and share with as much people as possible what we do.
Mm-hmm. And the title of this week's seminar is Quantum Medicine. Well, we might change that, okay, when you publish the video. I'll ask our team here to change it to Quantum Therapy, the history and science, so the video doesn't
Yes, because it depends from the country, but most of the Western countries, when you begin to talk as a doctor, oh, I practice quantum medicine, they write you a recommended letter. Oh, what are you saying? It's not recognized. Something funny. It's not the acquired data of science. This is the most stupid expressions I never heard. If something is not acquired, it is science. It's changed every day, quite. So when they told me that, oh, you have to use the acquired data of science, you have to use proved things in medicine. Yes, but what it's proved today will be proved wrong tomorrow.
We've seen it so many times.
Yes, so we are stuck. Is the reason why I stopped dentistry and I'm, to be honest, I'm registered in Italy as a naturopath therapist, not a doctor, because as a doctor I have to comply with the rules. Yes. I cannot talk freely, I cannot say nothing, and I cannot treat people the way I want. If I'm registered in a medical board, I have to comply with the rules of the party.
Absolutely.
Oh, but being a simple naturopath officially, whatever my titles, university, other this I have the knowledge, so it's not a problem. But this status gives me freedom, and it's important. And if I talk to you, I know it will be in Facebook, it can be seen by a lot of people. Nobody can tell me, oh, you're wrong, I will stop your exercise because I'm totally free. I'm just a naturopath.
What countries are open to quantum therapy?
I think Russia for sure. Russia and Russian country. 99% of my patients are from Russia, Ukraine, Tatarstan, Kazakhstan, etc. So they are very open-minded, and it's one of the main source of knowledge in quantum medicine. The origin, maybe not the origin, but the development. It's mainly from Russia. Germany too, because Germany had a real, in the past, they had all the scientists, right, that have made discoveries in quantum physics.
Right.
are from Germany, and now they are open, maybe not officially, but more than in other European countries.
Right.
Is the only country in Europe that have officially recognized the naturopath profession with a specific diploma of Heilpraktiker. Switzerland too. Switzerland have a social system that reimburses the treatments of alternative medicine, of complementary medicine.
Yes.
Quite 50–60%.
Gosh.
Even quantum medicine. But in France, in Italy, in Spain, it's not the case. In France, no way.
No way. Well, there's a lot of countries.
It's just scam. It's not scientific, but they don't know the science. Just the constatation.
That's right. The people that make the rules decide for us what we can use to heal ourselves, which is allopathic or nothing. drugs or no alternative. You were saying earlier. I'm sorry?
No, it's just symptomatic treatment. You have this, you are on this box, I give you this pill. Okay, come back in 15 days. If it's not better, I will change the pill.
There's a I'll slip this in now. There's a gentleman, I'm trying to think what his name was, who is an author now. He's written a few books. He's the medical medium. His name is Anthony William. He's directed by a spirit to find causes of health issues in people. And he's written a few books. I'm working my way through the second book now. It's more than riveting, and it all makes sense. As a person that's in, I've got formal training, or a little bit of formal training, and I know a few things. It really joins dots together. You think, well, that's why it happens. It's not just in someone's mind. It's not just a mental condition. It's a purely physical condition that's brought on by these certain pathogens. One of the worst ones being the Epstein-Barr virus. In fact, that's the one that is pretty much the cause of all of these conditions that he lists. And so if I was to close my mind and think, well, how can a medium, a person that speaks to spirits, have any claim to medical knowledge or health issues? But fortunately, not everyone's got their minds closed, and people are starting to learn slowly. And I recommend other people to read that book. Medical medium, medicine medium. Sorry. You mentioned earlier on that there's progress in the field of equipment that one can use that uses quantum methods. Do you know something that no one else knows? Have you had words with a person that's going to produce a machine, or you know of a machine that's going to come out that's going to turn things on their head?
I have made a small PowerPoint presentation. If you want, I can share and show you. It will be short.
I'd love it. I'd love it. You've got that. Do you know how to share your screen?
So, I share screen.
And I'll set
you have to activate the screen sharing.
Oh, okay. Well, just bear with me, everyone. I'll just allow. Make host. Maybe I've got to make you a host. Change host. So you should have your screen.
Okay, fine.
Facility.
Okay, super. Okay, so I let it like that. It's okay. So quantum revolution in health management. Quantum side of health is the general name of my talks. So you gave me the presentation of myself, so it's not important to go through that. So the starting of quantum medicine, I think we can go to the Ayurvedic medicine with the traditional medicine of India. And the most ancient documents we found, it's 2000s before Christ. That means that exists, I think, for more time than this. And Ayurvedic medicine is really interesting because they have discovered the chakra, the energy, the flow of energy, they call it Kundalini, the effect of surrounding on our health and the state, and it's the germ. In Ayurvedic medicine, we can find the germs of Chinese medicine because it's similar, not exactly the same, but similar. We can tell it's similar. We have to precise that now, in 2020, Ayurvedic medicine and traditional Chinese medicine are recognized as useful and full systems by the World Health Organization. So using these kinds of medicine as complementary medicine, it's totally justified legally. So traditional Chinese medicine first documents 500 before Christus. Chinese medicine, so everybody knows acupuncture, but it's a part of what we call the Taoist arts. And Taoist arts is the medicine, is the art of the surroundings and the art of treating the houses. It's called feng shui. It's martial arts, external martial arts, as Kung Fu that I practice for maybe 30 years now, Tai Chi, Qigong. In Ayurvedic sciences, we can find yoga that is widely practiced through the world now and recognized as something really useful for the health. So you can see the origins of quantum medicine are very far in the past, and what we have to do that lots of, for not saying all, of the machines and techniques we use now in the 21st century used the knowledge of traditional Chinese medicine, Tibetan medicine, Ayurvedic medicine to make the algorithm that permit to calculate and which kind of frequency we have to use. And this law of 5 movements, laws of Tridosha in Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine, meridians, all this knowledge are used right now in quantum medicine, but in a more rational and scientific way than just intuitive. So it's much more precise. In the 18th century, there was in France, there was a great patient for this guy, Anton Mesmer, who talked about animal magnetism. And he built this kind of a strange cube. When magnetic fluid goes through, it touches the people with an iron wand at the point they were ill. And even the nobles and the king and queen, Marie Antoinette, notably, used this kind of devices. So was it efficient or not? We don't really know, but historically it was really something existing.
Yes.
Georges Lakhovsky, a Belarusian French engineer, author and inventor. His medical treatment invention, multiple waves oscillator, is described as having been used by him in the treatment of cancer. And it was used at the Hôpital La Pitié-Salpêtrière in Paris till the beginning of the Second World War. And he has this fantastic citation: life is born from radiation, life is maintained by radiations, and light is suppressed by every oscillatory disbalance. The radiations, we have to understand frequencies and electromagnetic waves in general. Radiations now, the meaning is a little bit different. For sure, Nikola Tesla, one of the most brilliant genius of past century, who have invented so much thing that it's quite impossible to release, and we have to tell that most of the findings and patents of Edison were inventions and findings of Nikola Tesla. So he discovered this, he proved that exists these famous scalar waves that you can talk to us much more, much better than me, because you are a real specialist in scalar waves. I'm not for the moment. And it was acknowledged by Nobel Prize winner Albert Einstein. So he wanted to create, so for him, scalar waves is equivalent to Ki in Taoist arts and to prana in the energy of the universe in Ayurvedic medicine. He called it point zero energy, and he thinks that we can build some machine to receive and diffuse these scalar waves, and with these scalar waves generate electricity that can make move every kind of machine, even cars, even everything. So he wanted to build it. Curiously, the tower he built for testing and diffusing these scalar waves was burned. So there is other people that talk about, like Professor Ilya Prigozhin was Nobel Prize of Chemistry in 1977 for this work on what he calls the dissipated structures. Dissipated structures mean that the living cells are constantly interacting with their surroundings by emitting and receiving electromagnetic waves. So I don't want to show a lot of calculations. It's bothering for everybody, and firstly for me. Professor Fritz Albert Popp, who I met, is a scientific in the Kaiserslautern University, is a physicist, that proved that living cells emit and receive light. And he determined that this light is emitted, that DNA is able to receive, to keep, and to re-emit light. And the quantity of emitted light is a sign of vitality and health of the cell. So it's we can measure, for example, on this picture, you can see here some organic corn. You see the beautiful light, very regular, very long, like a kind of an aura, if you want. And this is a chemically treated corn, so you can see it's quietly dead. So if you eat this one, you can imagine that the energy you will get and the nutrients you will get will be much better than this one. From Popp, Prigozhin and other researchers, they have developed a lot of systems. For example, this one, using magnetic fields, laser, infrared, and polychromatic light with specific programs that can improve mainly microcirculation. And improving microcirculation, we can improve healing process, we can improve all the regenerative things in our body with better oxygenations, better distributions of nutrients all over the body. We can regulate brain magnetic field. We can we can put the our magnetic field in harmony with the Schumann field. Schumann field is the magnetic field of our planet, who's now between 7 and 8 Hertz, if I don't make a mistake. Notice that 20 years before it was between 4 and 5. It's changing. Maybe it's a reason why we are changing too. So this is a device regularly, it's quite really efficient.
Right.
So Stephen and Valentina Kirlian, how not telling about this fantastic guy who discovered that if you expose a living body, a living cell, to a very high electric field, you can picture this fantastic illumination around the body, around the finger. So Kilian used fingers, mainly tip of the finger, to make. And he discovered too, like Fritz Albert Popp later, that the quality of the light could be a sign of the health. And according to the place where the light disturbance are placed, we can diagnose where is the problem and what is the problem. But with the technology of this time, you can imagine that there is a lot of different interpretations that are not very coherent. You have different systems that are where the interpretation is totally different, it's not the same at all. And now we have, I present you my dear friend, Professor Konstantin Korotkov from St. Petersburg, Russia. He's an engineer. He's one of my best friends, I have to say. Her wife, Irina, is one of the most talented aesthetic doctor I know, and she's we work together for more than 15 years now. So he perfected the Kilian system. He was engineer in the space technology, and he used the space technology to create a system that you can take the picture of the fingers and analyze them with a very good algorithm. I will show you some pictures just after. Okay. This system is used in numerous clinics, universities, sports centers worldwide for more than 20 years, and it was used to as part of training and follow-up of cosmonauts and world-class athletes, like the Russian Olympic team for the Sochi Winter Olympic Games. Oh, so if you have any question, John, don't hesitate, cut me. Nice. So this is your specialty. So I just put one slide to not to explain, but to show Raymond Rife. So I don't want to talk a lot because you are a much better specialist than me, and it's just to show that principally Raymond Rife, but Hulda Clark too is an American doctor who worked a lot. I know her through the heavy metal detoxification, but she developed a series of frequencies too that could be quite useful for treatment. But Rife frequencies could be used in psychological level, for example, to balance, stimulate, and optimize nervous system, to deeply lower psychological stress impact, to destroy or weaken viruses, bacteria, parasites, and mycosis. And I have to tell that now research confirms the findings of Royal Rife on Pseudomonas, on Actinomyces. I had some results on Helicobacter pylori, on what's the name of virus, not coronavirus, papillomavirus, excuse me. And the system is brilliant. It's the same that the opera singer that perform the note, just the note that will break the crystal glass. It's like the Jericho walls. You have a specific frequency that enter in resonance with the structure of your target and it make me explode. And this is used. I've seen some videos on YouTube, it's quite funny. You can see in a couple of seconds, bacteria is destroyed totally by these frequencies. But I remember that when you perform these frequencies to kill viruses, bacteria, molds, or parasites, always start from the smaller to the bigger, because you can have infection of a bacteria by a virus. The bacteria will infect the mold, and etc. So if you destroy the bigger one, you will liberate in the systems all the smaller ones, and you can cause something much more dangerous and much worse than the patient has at the origin. Second point, when you use these kinds of killing treatments, detoxify a lot, because if you don't, you will liberate in the system toxins, bacterial toxins, that could be much more dangerous than the bacteria themselves. If I tell something not true, not precise, John, don't hesitate.
No, that was good advice you gave there. Good advice.
So, this is one guy I admire a lot, Professor Luc Montagnier, Nobel Prize of Medicine in 2008. He was the discoverer of the AIDS virus. And what is really interesting, that it's not a classical scientist for a Nobel Prize. He made experiments that a lot of other scientists that don't understand. Now it's more than 80 years old, and they thought that, oh, he begins to be a little bit too old, he loses his mind, but it's not, he doesn't lose nothing. He made some revelations of coronavirus at French TV that are really interesting, because he told we can treat theoretically, because he's somebody cautious. Theoretically, we can treat infections and viral infections by specific frequencies. He told it at French TV, maybe 1 month before. He told that coronavirus is a manipulated coronavirus, the COVID-19, that have in its DNA small parts of AIDS virus. And now he's making experiments on the memory of water. I will explain a little bit what he does. It's really fantastic. But just, do you know how he discovered that the AIDS was caused by a virus? I'll tell you. Everybody was looking when this AIDS exploded in the world. Everybody was totally frightened. Everybody was all the researcher, but what is this illness? What the origin of that? Is it a bacteria? Is it a virus? Is it poisoning? Is it something that nobody knows? And he makes the research by taking blood sample of infected people and blood sample of sane people. And he compared the electromagnetic frequencies emitted. There was a difference in these electromagnetic frequencies, as you can imagine, and he determined that the perturbation was in a range of frequencies that corresponds to the frequencies of viruses. So he knew at this moment we have to find a virus, and he concentrated all the research on finding a virus. And at this moment, all other researchers in the world were looking for something, but don't know in really way. But when you know exactly what you are looking for, you found it more easily. Now, he has made a really interesting experiment on memory of water. So this is a device to capture and analyze of electromagnetic signals. So he took some blood sample in a vial of a special prepared water. It's alkaline water with very, very small clusters. That means that the molecules of the water are really small. And we know that when we have this microcluster in water, it's really good, not only for our health, but to record informations inside. It's one of the bases of homeopathy, for example. So he puts the sample in a bobbin of copper with a special impedance. He record the electromagnetic signal through an amplifier, and it's recorded like an MP3 file. This MP3 file was sent to another laboratory in Italy, sent by mail, by Gmail, by you transfer your files to your friends or colleagues. And this signal was transmitted in what we call the PCR. PCR is a technique to reconstruct DNA from a DNA sample. You can reproduce all the double spiral of DNA. by putting the basic elements of DNA. There is only 4: A, T, G, C. I don't give the scientific names, nobody cares. But in a PCR, if you have some fragments of DNA, these 4 components of DNA will bond one to each other to reconstitute the full DNA. But if you don't have any physical DNA inside, that doesn't work, nothing happens. And by transmitting this MP3 file, just the information to the vial where the PCR were, he reconstructs DNA 99.5% the same that the original one. So if water cannot catch memory, and if DNA cannot send precise information via electromagnetic informations, what to conclude? We have the proofs. So we can analyze this bioenergy field. This is the modern way to practice this Kirlian analysis that permit to evaluate physical state, management of psychological stress, health status, organs functional stress, and biofeedback monitoring. You can make the follow-up of your procedure with this kind of system, seeing if it's better after than before. It can be for medical treatments, quantum medicine treatments, yoga session, seeing a magnetizer, whatever you can imagine, you can make the before and after with this device. Professor Korotkov even measured some kinds of shamans, kinds of sorcerer in Africa, in South America, and he can tell you what practice are good and what practice are totally destructive for the body. And I have to say, just a passage, ayahuasca is something really popular now. It's taking this South American drug that gives you in modified state of conscious. This is, excuse me, a shit. You don't have to use this thing because it destroys purely and simply your energetical field. So you can see here 2 different devices to measure this aura and giving some clues, but take it like clues because it's really important to control with other devices, with other process, if what we have is correct. The big advantages of this system is it's interconnected. All the machines all over the world are interconnected. The data are treated in Russia, in St. Petersburg, and they collect all the data to improve the system constantly, to make it upgrade. So here you can see, for example, chakra alignment. You can see it here on another kinds of device. You can see the quality of this bioenergy field was very important, with the strong points and the weak points. And what is interesting is the same person on the two on these 2 different analyses, and you can see that globally the gap you have here, you found it here. The gap you have here, you found it here. The stress level is the same in the 2 cases with some anxiety. So the 2 systems measure something real and not just something created and imaginated by the computer. It's the reason why for me it's important to cross the results of different devices, of different techniques, and even I use 2 classical biological analysis of blood, urine, because it's interesting to compare, to be sure that we are doing something clear. And this is my first quantum medicine machine, the derivative for Dr. REINAHRT VOLL with electroacupuncture.
Okay. Well.
Yes, John, you want to?
Oh no, you continue. I don't want to break the stream. You please continue.
Okay. So Dr. VOLL noticed that there was a difference between an acupuncture point than another point of the skin from an electrical point of view. You notice that the resistivity of acupuncture point were 100 ohm, than other points were something like 20 ohm. So to determine, and he began to measure all the classical acupuncture points of classical Chinese meridian, like we can see here. And he looked at, for example, we have one meridian on one side of one finger, not on the other one. And it was the same for all finger and all foot fingers. And he wondered why there are missing meridians. And he begins to measure other points, and he determined other meridians that now we call VOLL meridians that could be related to other kind of organs and etc. And he makes the result because he was really surprised why Chinese didn't mention this, and he found old texts that showed this meridian, but Chinese didn't keep them because there was not application in acupuncture for these meridians. But in VOLL, electroacupuncture is useful. So by measuring each point, what we name trigger points at the extremity of fingers on the hands and on the feet, we can determine if the correspondent organs are in good shape or not. To be simple, if the resistivity is more than 100 ohm, we are in inflammation or hyperfunction. If we are lower than 100 ohm, we are in hypofunction or in degeneration. And the following was the invention of bioresonance therapy, invented in Germany in 1977 by Dr. Franz Morel and Eric Ruscher, who was an engineer. Now, a lot of therapy systems in quantum medicine are based on this principle. The bioresonance is the using of the frequencies emitted by the cells, and we can, for example, if you want to treat a cell with a curative substance, you send the frequency of the curative substance to the cell. If you want to treat some illness or destroy some virus, you send the same frequencies but inverted at 180 degrees. It's the same principle than in the anti-noise cask that we can use by seeing Grand Prix of Monaco, but we didn't have it this year, unfortunately. So this cask takes all the sounds, invert them at 180 degrees, and you don't hear nothing. This is a principle used on a very, very common basis. And this is applied to physiology and biology. It's bioresonance. It's quite efficient. So these principles were improved greatly by a team of Vladimir Nesterov, who is a Russian researcher who made this, now we call 3D NLS systems. He created a Metatron Oberon system that can measure by the cask all the information. It's a scanning of each organ. We have more than 2,600 targets to check in the body, and we can see if it's caused by illness, by intoxication, by micro bacteria, viruses, etc. But you can find treatments like homeopathy, bad flowers, so many, and you can check what is really interesting, and it was the work I made. You can check the transgenerational memories of traumatism transmitted through mitochondrial DNA. It's a really cool device. So this is the article I published. To be short, mitochondrial DNA is special because it's transmitted only by the X chromosome. That means that it's only come from the mother. It's not submitted to the changes of reproduction. You know, in reproduction, you mix male and papas and mamas genes, and you have something new. It's your own DNA, but not mitochondrial DNA. Mitochondrial DNA, it's only mama. We use in anthropology mitochondrial DNA to know if a specific person or a specific population is coming from Eastern Europe, Africa, 6, 7, 10,000 years before. It's very, very stable. And it's this mitochondrial DNA are recorded all the information concerning past generation. In mitochondrial DNA could be recorded all the traumatism, could be illnesses, not flu or something like that, but the big illnesses like syphilis, like tuberculosis, like plague, why not, whatever. You can have these informations recorded in mitochondrial DNA. The very first patient I had on myself in quantum medicine was a young girl of 1 year and a half who suffered from recurrent infections in the ears. She had infections every 2 months. And the doctor, the pediatrist, give them drops of antibiotics and cortisone medications to treat her. So it disappeared, the symptoms disappeared in a week, but reappeared every 1.5, 2 months. So with the MORA system I used, this VOLL system I determined that on the liver, on the cells of the liver, we had a memory of infection of parotidis gland, what we call in French oreillon, but I don't know the term in English, but the Latin name is urlianum. And I treated her just by inverted frequencies, just bioresonance, 3 seconds at very low intensity because he was a very young girl. All the symptoms disappeared and never reappeared. So I began to think, but who in the family had this problem? And the mother called me, oh, my grandmother was in Vietnam and she had this problem. So it was transmitted through. Now I made the research to know from where it can, but I think, but you can have problems because your grandmother has something. So curious, but the information is transmitted and we can read it.
Right.
On another level, we have a guy I work with for more than 20 years, Stefan Dumonson-Kosmanovic. He created the Psio technology. He used coming from neuroscience with a combination of physical optics, acoustics, electronics, and computing. I use this device for more than 25 years. I used it as a dentist to relax patients before interventions. It's really efficient. It's a pair of glasses where you can put MP3 file with sounds and light. Different frequencies of sounds, different frequencies of light, and it can use to some kind of Ericksonian hypnosis. So I can tell you, you can have a totally relaxed effect in less than 3 minutes without any teaching of any formation, any initiation in relaxation, in meditation. No, it's immediate. It's just saturating the conscious mind by more than seven informations to make it goes out, and you have direct access to the unconscious. People with these glasses in 3-4 minutes are like sleeping, but they are taking all the information, and it can be used for every kind of applications that hypnosis can do, but much more efficiently, much more quickly, and without the stress of being hypnotized by somebody. So I called it emotional detox, and it's now used by NASA as a test for pilots and preparations of astronauts. So that drives you directly to the use of brain frequencies, like binaural frequencies, that are used for maybe centuries by the humanity. But now we have the explanations, giving different frequencies to the right and left brain, just to put the brain in the good state. So, you know, we have 4 kinds of brain waves. Beta waves, it's alertness, it's work, it's body thinking, so it's only practical activities. Alpha waves, when you are relaxed, is self-introspection, is daydreaming. It's something we reach maybe 20 or 50 times every day, but some seconds.
Maybe
The
more
most
often,
interesting is,
if your job is not very interesting, you might reach the alpha state more often.
yeah, and theta waves are more interesting. Theta waves, it's deep meditations. It's between awakeness and sleepness, and this is the flow of ideas, the flow of creativity, what we call shamanic states, the bridge to the subconscious. And we have to remember that big majority of inventions and discoveries through the ages were made by people in this theta state. For example, you know the Archimedes laws, that the stories that tell that he discovered the way to weight the gold of the king by taking a bath and feeling the push of the water on his body. He just ended up telling Eureka, so he had found the solution. He was in theta waves. The same with the periodical, you know, the periodical board of elements, what we use in chemistry to name all the elements existing on the earth. So the inventor dreamed of this, and when he woke up, he drew it immediately. So it's amazing what we can accomplish when you are in theta waves. And delta waves is unconsciousness, very deep sleep. You are not here anymore. Nothing can bother you. So you just, it's a little death. Now, what is interesting that we have publications in scientific reviews talking about what we are talking about. For example, in Global Advances in Health and Medicine, the title was Energy Medicine, Current Status and Future Perspectives. In the Proceedings of the Royal Society, it was published the history of quantum medicine. I think I have the article here. No, this is not this one. Sorry. Okay, it's this one. Up, just you see, Proceeding of the Royal Society, the origins of quantum biology. So there is a lot of information that I didn't talk about, because otherwise I can talk 5 hours just on this subject, because it's the recording of all the great scientists that worked in quantum physics and quantum medicine, all of them. So could be interesting to have a look, but just okay. And now in integrative medicine research, it was published online, Quantum Universe, Philosophical Foundation and Oriental Medicine. It's just some of the articles we found. We can find a lot on quantum biology, more and more. So it's a sign that what we talk about, what we tell for years and years, now begins to come to the scientific level to be published. There are more and more people that make research with that, with some budget to look at that. So I think the future could be bright for quantum medicine. So keep positive minds to have positive vibes and live a positive life. And welcome to the future. If you want to contact me, you have all my details on the quantumside@gmail.com, but I think that you will have everything on John's website.
Yes,
thank you for your attention.
We'll publish your contact details at the underneath the video. I'll publish it soon. Well, that was a great presentation. Thank you so much, Eric, for that. It was really good. Now, let's see.
Thank you.